I sat in the corner of Henderson and Associates Tax Services, watching my parents perform their annual theater. Dad leaned forward in his chair, that familiar commanding presence filling the room, while Mom nodded along with her practiced look of maternal concern. Our daughter Mira needs us to manage everything, Dad explained to the new accountant, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia Chen. She's not good with finances. Never has been. I kept my expression neutral, my laptop open to what looked like basic data entry work. Just another day of invisible Mira, the family disappointment who couldn't manage her own life. We've been claiming her as a dependent for years, Mom added, sliding papers across the desk. She lives with us, we pay for everything. It's honestly a blessing we can help her. Not like our son Brandon. Right on cue, Dad's face lit up. Brandon just closed another major deal. VP at 32. We helped him with the down payment on his penthouse in the financial district. Patricia made notes, her expression professionally blank. And Myra's income? What does she do? Some computer thing, Dad waved dismissively. Maybe 20-30,000 a year? We're not even sure. She's very private about it, probably embarrassed. We just deposit money in her account to cover her portion of household expenses. I watched Patricia's pen pause. You deposit money into her account? Well, we have access to it, Mom said quickly. We set it up for her years ago. It's easier this way. We can manage her bills, make sure she's not spending foolishly. She doesn't even have to worry about it. How convenient, Patricia said, and something in her tone made me look up. Our eyes met briefly. He knew. We'll need Myra's information for the dependent claim, Patricia continued. Social Security number, bank account details, employer information if applicable. Dad rattled off my Social Security number from memory. My stomach tightened. They'd been using it for years, I knew that much. What I'd only recently discovered was how much. And the bank account number? Mom provided it without hesitation. The checking account they'd opened when I was 18, telling me it was for my protection. The one they'd been accessing for the past decade. Excellent, Patricia said. I'll need a few days to process everything. Let's schedule a follow-up meeting for next week. Actually, I think it would be helpful if Mira joined us for that one. Just to sign some forms. Dad looked uncertain. Is that really necessary? She gets anxious about these things. I'm afraid it's required, Patricia said firmly. I'll need her signature on several documents. IRS regulations. After they left, Patricia looked at me. You can drop the act now. I closed my laptop. How did you know? 10 years in forensic accounting, she said. I've seen financial abuse before. The way they talked about you, the account access, claiming a 30-year-old as a dependent. Then I ran a preliminary check on your social. She turned her monitor toward me. That's not someone making $30,000 a year. My tax records from my actual accountant, the one my parents didn't know about, showed my real income. Senior software architect at a Fortune 500 company. $240,000 annually, not counting my consulting work. There's more, I said quietly. I need to show you something. The week before that meeting, I'd been working from home. My real home, the townhouse I'd purchased 3 years ago that my parents thought was a temporary rental I could barely afford. My phone rang. Brandon. Hey Mira, I need a favor. No greeting, just the assumption of compliance. What is it? Can you cover my car payment this month? Just $5,000. Dad and Mom are being weird about money lately, and I've got this investment opportunity that can't wait. $5,000. Casual as asking to borrow 20. Brandon, I paid your car insurance last month. And your HOA fees the month before. Yeah, and family helps family, right? That's what Dad always says. Look, it's not my fault you're still living at home while I'm building an actual career. The least you can do is contribute. I'd been contributing. For 10 years I'd been contributing. They just didn't know how much. I'll think about it, I said. Don't think too long. The payment's due Friday. He hung up. That's when I decided it was time. I called my actual accountant, Richard Santos, who'd been handling my real finances since I'd started making serious money. I need you to compile everything. 10 years of records. Every transaction, every unauthorized access, everything they've claimed using my information. Are you sure? Richard's voice was careful. This will burn every bridge. They burn them first. They just didn't notice. Richard sent everything to Patricia. Bank statements showing the account my parents managed was actually my old college checking account with a permanent balance of around $3,000. Proof that I'd been maintaining it deliberately, making small deposits to keep up appearances while my real money flowed through accounts they knew nothing about. Records of every time they'd used my social security number. Every false dependent claim. Every tax return filed with my information that reported a fraction of my actual income while they'd pocketed the refund. Patricia's email response was brief. This is fraud. Multiple felonies. Are you prepared for what comes next? I typed back, schedule the meeting. The day of the meeting I arrived early. Patricia had a guest with her. A man in a sharp suit who introduced himself as Marcus Webb, IRS Criminal Investigation Division. My parents arrived exactly on time, Brandon trailing behind them. He'd been summoned too apparently, though he looked confused about why. Why is everyone here? Dad asked, his jovial tone already fading as he took in the formal atmosphere. Please sit down, Patricia said. We have some irregularities to discuss regarding your tax returns. Mom's face went pale. Irregularities. Marcus Webb opened his briefcase. Mr. and Mrs. Patel, for the past 10 years, you've claimed your daughter Mira as a dependent. You've reported her income as approximately $20,000 to $35,000 annually. Is that correct? Yes, Dad said slowly. That's what she makes. We help her manage it. And you have access to her primary bank account? We set it up for her, Mom said defensively. We're just helping. The account ending in 4739? Webb asked. Yes, that's the one. Webb slid a document across the table. This account has maintained an average balance of $3,000 for the past 10 years. Small deposits, minimal activity. Would you say that's consistent with someone whose expenses you're managing? Dad frowned. Yes. She doesn't make much. Then perhaps you can explain this. Webb produced another document. This is a W-2 from Mira Patel's actual employer. Dated from last year. Her income was $240,000. The silence was deafening. Brandon spoke first. That's impossible. Mira doesn't make that kind of... She does, Webb said. She has for several years. Her actual bank accounts, the ones you don't have access to, show assets totaling over $1.2 million. Investment portfolio, real estate, retirement accounts. All in her name. Mom turned to me, her face a mixture of shock and betrayal. You've been lying to us? I've been protecting myself, I said quietly. From you. Patricia took over. The account you've been accessing belongs to Mira, yes. But it hasn't been her primary account since she was 22. She's been maintaining it as a test account while building her actual wealth separately. Every time you accessed it, every time you used her information, it was documented. This is ridiculous, Dad sputtered. We're her parents. We have a right. You have no right to commit tax fraud, Webb said coldly. You've been claiming her as a dependent while she's been completely financially independent. You've been reporting false income using her social security number. You've been keeping tax refunds that legally belong to her. And based on these records, he tapped another folder, you've been using her credit profile to secure loans. Brandon leaned forward. Wait, what loans? Webb consulted his notes. A home equity line of credit secured in 2019. 2 car loans. And a business loan for what appears to be a failed startup. All using Myra's social security number and credit score. All without her legal consent. She knew about those. Dad's voice rose. We discussed them. Did we? I asked softly. Because I have no record of that. No signed documents, no emails, nothing. Just unauthorized use of my identity. Mom's hands were shaking. We raised you. We fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. Until I was 18, I interrupted. After that I paid rent. Market rate, which you deposited into your personal account. I paid for my own food, my own clothes, my own car. I have receipts for everything. Patricia slid another document across the table. The IRS has calculated the total amount fraudulently claimed using Myra's information over 10 years. Including false dependent deductions, unreported income and fraudulent refunds, the total is approximately $185,000. plus penalties and interest. Dad's face went gray. We don't have that kind of money. That's not my problem, Webb said. It's your legal liability. Additionally, the loans secured using Myra's information total approximately $340,000. Those are immediately due in full as they were obtained fraudulently. This is insane. Brandon stood up. Myra, tell them this is some kind of mistake. You're confused, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, I said. I understand that every time I asked about the account you managed, you changed the subject. I understand that when I started making real money, you insisted I keep living at home so you could help me. I understand that Brandon's penthouse down payment was actually a loan in my name that I'm legally responsible for. Brandon's face went red. You're lying. Webb showed him the documents. The $150,000 loan for 2847 Market Street, Unit 12B. Secured using Mira Patel's credit and social security number. Signed with a forged signature. That's identity theft and fraud. Dad said it was his loan. Brandon shouted. He said he was using his credit. He used mine, I said. Along with everything else. Mom started crying. We're your family. How can you do this to us? How could you do this to me? I asked. Every time I achieved something you dismissed it. Every time I tried to talk about my career, you changed the subject to Brandon. You made me feel worthless while stealing my identity to fund your lifestyle. Patricia glanced at Webb, who nodded. Mr. and Mrs. Patel, you're being formally notified of an IRS criminal investigation into tax fraud, identity theft, and related crimes. You'll be receiving official documentation within 72 hours. I strongly suggest you retain legal counsel. Dad found his voice. What about the house? Our savings? Our retirement? The loans secured in Myra's name are her legal responsibility until proven otherwise, Webb said. She's within her rights to report the fraud, which will shift the liability back to you. Given the evidence, criminal charges are likely. Asset seizure to cover the fraudulent claims is probable. You'd let them take our house? Mom whispered to me. Let us lose everything? The way you were planning to let me lose everything? I asked. Those loans in my name would have destroyed my credit, my future, everything I built. You didn't care about that. Brandon slumped in his chair. My penthouse will likely be seized to recover the fraudulent loan, Webb confirmed. You're named as a beneficiary of the fraud. Expect to be included in the investigation. 3 months later, I sat in my townhouse, the one I'd purchased with my own money in my own name with no help from anyone. My phone buzzed with texts I didn't read. My parents' lawyer trying to negotiate. Brandon begging me to fix this. Extended family who'd suddenly learned the truth, demanding to know why I'd destroyed the family. I blocked each number methodically. The IRS investigation had moved swiftly. My parents' house was in foreclosure. The cars were being repossessed. Brandon's penthouse was already on the market, with him facing additional charges for benefit from fraud. He'd lost his VP position when his company learned about the investigation. Patricia called with updates. They're trying to claim financial hardship to reduce penalties. Their lawyer wants to know if you'd consider a settlement. No, I said. Let the process continue. It's going to bankrupt them. They'll lose everything. They were going to bankrupt me. They just thought I'd never notice. Richard, my actual accountant, had calculated the full damage. Over 10 years, my parents had stolen over $400,000 when including the fraudulent tax refunds, the loans they'd secured in my name, and the credit card debt they'd run up using cards I didn't know existed. All while telling me I was financially incompetent. My real net worth, after removing all their fraud from my credit report, $1.3 million. At 30 years old, completely self-made, completely independent. The thing that haunted them most, I learned from a cousin who briefly got through before I blocked her, was the realization of what I actually was. Not the struggling daughter who needed management. Not the disappointing child who couldn't measure up to Brandon. A millionaire software architect who'd been secretly succeeding while they'd been openly stealing. They'd demanded I pay for Brandon's life while telling me I had nothing. They'd used my identity to fund their lifestyle while making me feel worthless. And when the IRS came calling, when the fraud unraveled, when their world collapsed, they finally understood what I'd always known. Family doesn't come first when family treats you last. I deleted the blocked messages and opened my laptop. My company wanted me to lead a new division. The promotion came with a substantial raise and stock options. I accepted immediately. Somewhere across town, my parents were learning to live in the apartment they could barely afford, dealing with lawyers they couldn't pay, facing charges they couldn't escape. And I was finally completely free. 6 months after the investigation concluded, I received a letter forwarded through Patricia. My mother's handwriting, shaky and desperate. The prosecutors are recommending prison time. Your father's health is failing from the stress. Brandon lost everything, his career, his home, his reputation. Please, Mira, we're begging you. Drop the charges. We're your family. We made mistakes, but we don't deserve this. You have so much money, you'll never miss what we took. Please show mercy. Please forgive us. We're sorry. I read it twice, then fed it through my shredder. Mercy. They wanted mercy after a decade of exploitation. Forgiveness after stealing my identity, my credit, my financial future. They wanted me to save them the way they'd never saved me. My phone rang, an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later I listened. Brandon crying, saying the prosecutors were offering him a deal if he testified against our parents. Asking what he should do. Asking for money for a better lawyer. I deleted it without responding. The sentencing hearing was in 3 weeks. The prosecutor had told me I didn't need to attend, but I was planning to anyway. Not for closure, I already had that. But because they needed to see me one final time. Needed to see the daughter they'd underestimated, sitting in that courtroom watching their consequences unfold. They taught me that family comes first. They just never realized I'd learned to put myself first instead.